they're poured with concrete. And when we get it appraised, and you ask my wife, they don't know how to appraise it. They don't know what the R value is on it. So we can do some creative things. And those are just what the construction people wanted. You know, my boss, I worked, the day I got done with school on a Friday or a Thursday, I was back to work on Saturday, peeling logs, doing whatever. We didn't build homes all the time. We had those little cycles that we had a little recession. And you know what? I've watched that man do, you know, renovations, upgrades, roofing. I got to tell you, there's ways that we can use alternative energy to get this thing started cycling. I'll give you a quick one to start watching. And it's going on in our own state. It's California Edison. California Edison has made a pitch to a high school here in the state. We will put all the solar panels on your school district as long as you buy the power. And in 5 or 10 years, you'll save $5 million from what you're currently paying. But you got to buy the electricity from us. Well, I like that competition here now. Ooh. Now SRP and APS have said, hey, that violates. You got to go back to, you know, to the Corporation Commission for jurisdiction on that. But start thinking of the ideas. Really, start thinking. Let your minds go here, where you can go in construction here. I built my house. The engineers on the Arboretum told me exactly how to orient it. This is the number 5 place in the country for solar and for wind. Actually, more for solar than for wind. And all you need is rooftops. And you know what? The first thing you ought to be doing is positioning people with a hot water heater, solar water heater. That's where we use most of our domestic energy, is in our hot water. You have such a problem here, you have to dump it. So you get too much heat. You actually have to dump it. Oh. Holy cow. These are practical solutions sitting right there in front of our eyes. Every single one of us. I'm only seeing a few. I know there's other people. I'm looking at here seeing nodding heads. You know of more of them. Yes?
What about ideas for the Navajo reservation? Reservations are costing the U.S. quite a bit of money.
Great question. For the last 4 years, because of that DHAT, I've actually been working with the Native Americans. I'm actually a person actually pushing privatization of their health care. I tell you what, first thing I said to when I went in to see some of their hierarchy, and this wasn't just the Navajos, this was the whole Native tribes across the country. I said, you're owed between $1.2 and $1.7 trillion, give or take. Would you agree with me? And they said, yes. I said, you ever going to see your money? Nope. I said, now we're talking. Because I'm not going to ever see Medicaid, or I'm never going to see Medicare. So let's start working together. What privatization is that the U.S. Supreme Court allowed in the past all Native Americans to come under Medicaid, Medicare. They also get their health care through BIA. Okay? And before the late 1990s, it was all through the Indian Health Service. And the Indian Health Service said, this is what we'll do, this is how we're going to do it, and this is what you're going to get. Okay? Supreme Court said, no, in 1998, 1996. You're allowed to take the same money going to vested interest to the Indian Health Service, and you can use it on your population as you see fit. With very few strings, and no insurance. Native Americans are basically maternalistic in orientation. That's healthcare. Preventative, 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 preventative. So I've actually been there doing it for 4 years. I'll actually compete in the Navajo Nation with any of the Democrats. I also believe alternative energy plus energy. Once you understand what that coal plant does, you know it doesn't just supply a little bit of Arizona. It goes all the way down the eastern side of Arizona, down the southern Arizona, southern tip of Nevada, and over into California. And you close that puppy down, and it's privately owned, by the way. And the scrubbers that they're talking about, the conservative estimate is $600 billion, or $600 million. Most people believe in the industry it'll be twice that, $1.2 billion in scrubbers. It's done. It's done. Private industry can't put up the $1.2 billion. Now, I can tell you right now, they're ready to play. It's time to start playing. And you know what? If I would have told you 20 years ago that the fate of health care would actually rest with the Native Americans, you'd laugh me in the face. Every single one of you say they got the worst health care there is. I'm actually the guy promoting dentistry as that first solution for it. We send billions of dollars overseas when we do crowns, okay? And we don't know what's in them. We're seeing trace metals of lead. We see some other, there's been a rare location of radioactive materials. We don't know. You don't know what's in there, okay? And I got to tell you, metals are very important in your mouth in the way you biologically hold them, okay? Some more than others, okay? Congressman Renzi taught me something, that all the high-end wiring is done by the Navajos and the Native peoples, because eye-hand color combination coordination is 5 percentage points higher than anybody else in the world. Almost every single one of them has jewelry. Please tell me what the difference if I say this crown right here is dental jewelry. How many jobs do you think on the Native nations actually make 45,000 plus? We can. As long as they're going to play the game right in commerce. That's where we've had some bad luck in the past. They've privatized construction agents and groups in the late 60s, early 60s. So they got to play by the same rules, but they're ready to play. $45,000 isn't anything to scoff at when you're talking about crowns. And that's just dentistry I'm talking about. There are so many possibilities here, folks, I just can't tell you. And that's the other reason I also, when you're talking about it, is that healthcare bill is a lie. And take my word for it, it's a lie. So you need to get on your emails and your internets, and you find people in those states, especially pick out the blue dogs, go after them. Peter DeFazio, Gene Taylor. You need to go through these guys and say, hey, I'm from here, I'm from Arizona, but I can't stand that bill implicates me too. And if you know somebody in Oregon, you call them. Peter's in the hot seat now. Gene Taylor's in the hot seat now, Mississippi guy. If you know people in those states, go after them and say, hey, none of this business. No. Because that bill passes, it'll take 10 years to repeal it, minimum. And I hope you got people in there willing to understand, hey, here's where we go. Bing, 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 bing. Here's where we attack. Bing, 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 bing. Because it ain't going to be easy. Nothing now is easy. Nothing now is going to be ever easy. Unless we get together. Any other questions? Yes?
Well, is it so many of our young people, I talk to college kids, I talk to even people in the family, why do they seem to have little or no interest in their future?
Well, I guess I'm going to share a story. You guys remember this kid that was 16 or 17 years old taken out in the woods and executed by 3 of his peers?
Yeah.
We need to really look at that. Because I got to tell you, those kids don't see it into the tunnel. Out of some of those kids after my son has five friends, 4 of them don't have moms. And I asked one of the kids one time, I said, you know, what? I mean, they're genius. These kids are brilliant. And hard time keeping them in school. So I asked him, I said, so what is it? Why don't you want to start to excel? And he goes, you know what? Life's going to be hell. I'm not my dad. I wake up, my dad wakes up every morning and doesn't know if he's going to have a job at the end of the day. And I'm not my dad. I'd rather see things fall apart. I got to tell you, my dad's a geologist. My sister's a geopetroleum hydrology engineer. She can't get a job. And yet my daughter, Ellie, her friends are getting these grants to go into geology. My dad will tell you, where the hell's the jobs? Engineering, where are the jobs? Please tell me. So we're also selling them short. We're showing them on something that doesn't exist unless we change something. And I can tell you also, it's been a give, take type of an environment. And I got to tell